today's lesson is dividing by monomials. So we have already talked about adding and subtracting polynomials, and we've talked about multiplying polynomials. Last week we talked about multiplying by a monomial, and then we talked about multiplying two polynomials together. So today we're going to start our discussion of division. We will spend 2 lessons this week and then 2 next week on division. And so we're going to start out simple, and then we're going to progress to things that are more complex. So the first thing we're going to look at is just dividing a polynomial by a monomial. So here's our first example. So you're going to see that we're going to do each of these examples exactly the same. We're going to follow the same process every time. I just wanted to work through several of them with you so that you get that process kind of ingrained into you so that it becomes kind of an automatic thing to do. So the first thing we're going to do, this is simplify 8x to the 5th plus 24x to the 4th, all of that divided by 4x squared. The first thing I want to do is break this apart, which is kind of unusual because usually we put things together, but this time we're going to break it apart and then we're going to put it back together. So when I talk about breaking it apart, what I'm going to do is, since those terms are connected with addition on the top in the numerator, I'm going to divide each part of those, each term, by what's in the denominator. And so it looks like this. I have 8x to the 5th over 4x squared, and I have 24x to the 4th over 4x squared. So I took everything in the top and just put it over the denominator. Now, this was addition, so this stays addition. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is look at these exponents. So when we multiplied, when the bases were the same, when we multiplied, we added the exponents. That's what we did last week. So division is the opposite operation as multiplication. So if we add when we multiply, it makes sense that we should subtract when we divide. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So the next step is to rewrite it, and we're going to put the number parts together and the variable parts. And it's going to look like this. I have 8 over 4, x to the 5 minus 2, because that came from those exponents. Still addition, so plus 24 over 4, and then x to the 4 minus 2. And there's those two exponents that we're subtracting. And the very last step is just to simplify. So I'm going to do 8 divided by 4, which is 2. And I'm going to do x to the 5 minus 2. Well, 5 minus 2 is 3. So I get 2x to the 3rd plus, well, 24 divided by 4 is 6. And x to the 4 minus 2, well, 4 minus 2 is 2. So 6x squared. If you don't know what 24 divided by 4 is, pull out your calculator. You have one on your phone, you have one on your Chromebook, you might have your own calculator. So whatever works for you, it's perfectly fine to use your calculator. All right, so that's the process. It's kind of a 3-step process that we're going to follow every single time. We're going to break apart, we're going to rewrite, we're going to simplify. So let's look at our next example. 7x to the 8th plus 21x to the 3rd divided by 7x. So I'm going to break apart. So I get 7x to the 8th over 7x plus 21x to the 3rd over 7x. The next thing I want to do is look at, I want to make sure that those are both addition. So if it's addition in the first problem, it stays addition. Now I'm going to look at the exponents. So what do we do? There's not an exponent on the bottom. So what do we do? Well, if you remember, when we were multiplying, if there wasn't an exponent, it was assumed to be 1. And that's still the case this time. So I'm going to put those 1s in there. You can write them in there if you want so that you remember that it's a 1. And then we're going to rewrite this by putting the numbers together, and then we're going to subtract exponents. So I have 7 over 7, x to the 8 minus 1, plus 21 over 7 to the x to the 3 minus 1. And I'm going to simplify. Well, So remember, there's the 8 minus 1. There's the 3 minus 1. Well, 7 divided by 7 is 1. X to the 8 minus 1. Well, 8 minus 1 is 7, so I get x to the 7th. And then plus 21 divided by 7 is 3. And x to the 3 minus 1, well, 3 minus 1 is 2, so it's 3x squared. Now, we have talked a lot this year about writing proper math versus kind of like a slang math. We don't put that 1 out in front of the x usually for proper math. And so all I did was clean that up a little bit and make it, instead of 1x, I made it x to the 7th plus 3x squared. Both answers are fine. If you like that 1 out in front of there, then, by all means leave it. But it doesn't need to be there. In proper math would have it not be there. All right, example 3. So again, remember this example we saw break apart, rewrite, simplify. Example 3, 20x to the 4th minus 28x to the 3rd, all of that divided by 2x squared. So I'm going to break apart. So I get 20x to the 4th over 2x squared minus 28x to the 3rd over 2x squared. So I broke it apart. That was subtraction, so that is subtraction. So they have to be the same. Now I'm going to rewrite. So I'm going to look at my exponents so I know what I'm rewriting. I get 20 over 2 and then x to the 4 minus 2 minus 28 over 2 x to the 3 minus 2. So there's the 4 minus 2, there's the 3 minus 2. And the last step is simplify. Well, 20 over 2 is 10. X to the 4 minus 2. Well, 4 minus 2 is 2, so it's x squared. And then 28 divided by 2 is 14. X to the 3 minus 2 is 1, so I get minus 14x to the first. And again, that's kind of like slang math. So proper math would be not to write that exponent of 1. And so it would be 10x squared minus 14x. So we just clean it up a little bit so that it looks correct. So again, break apart, rewrite, simplify. Example 4. 36x to the 9th minus 12x to the 5th. All of that divided by 4x to the 4th. So we're going to break apart, and I get 36x to the 9th over 4x to the 4th minus 12x to the 5th over 4x to the 4th. So I just broke it apart. That was subtraction, so that stays subtraction. Now I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to look at these exponents so that I know what it is I'm going to subtract. So I rewrite it as 36 over 4 x to the 9 minus 4. Those came from the exponents. There's my subtraction sign. And then 12 over 4 and x to the 5 minus 4. So I'm subtracting my exponents. And then I simplify. Well, 36 divided by 4 is 9. X to the 9 minus 4. Well, 9 minus 4 is 5, so x to the 5th, minus 12 over 4 is 3. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And 5 minus 4 is 1, so 3x to the 1st. And again, I just clean it up because I don't really like that 1 exponent, so I make it 9x to the 5th minus 3x. And that's my final answer. I can't simplify any further because those are not like terms. So we can't combine those. All right, next example. 18x to the 7th plus 42x to the 5th divided by 6x to the 5th. Again, I'm going to do those same 3 steps. I'm going to do break apart, rewrite, simplify. So when I break it apart, I get 18x to the 7th over 6x to the 5th. And it's addition up there, so it stays addition there. 42x to the 5th over 6x to the 5th. All right, so now I'm going to look at these exponents so that I know what it is I'm going to subtract. Now I'm going to rewrite. So I have 18 over 6, x to the 7 minus 5, plus 42 over 6 to the x to the 5 minus 5. So now I simplify. 18 divided by 6 is 3. So I get 3x squared, because 7 minus 5 is 2, plus 42 divided by 6. Sorry, 42 divided by 6 is 7. And x to the 5 minus 5, well, 5 minus 5 is 0, so x to the 0. And now I have to stop and think, what is x to the 0? Well, anything to the 0 power, we've talked about this in the past, is 1. So what that 7 x to the 0 means is 7 times 1. So I clean it up and I get 3x squared plus 7, because x to the 0 is just 1. So 7 times 1 is 7. So 3x squared plus 7. And our last example is 16x to the 5th minus 48x squared divided by 8x. So I'm gonna break it apart. I'm going to rewrite. I'm going to simplify. So I break apart. I get 16x to the 5th divided by 8x minus 48x squared divided by 8x. That's subtraction, so that stays subtraction. I'm going to look at my exponents. And again, there's no exponent on that bottom one. So if there's not an exponent, it is a 1. So that I know what I need to subtract. And now I'm going to rewrite it. So I get 16 over 8, x to the 5 minus 1, and then minus 48 over 8, x to the 2 minus 1. And I simplify. 16 divided by 8 is 2. X to the 5 minus 1 is 4, so x to the 4th. And 48 divided by 8 is 6. And then I have 2 minus 1 for the exponent, which is 1, so I get x to the 1st. And there's that x to the 1st again, so I just clean it up and make it 2x to the 4th minus 6x. So it is just the same process every time. Break apart, rewrite, simplify. So as long as you're dividing by a monomial, that's what you're going to do. Break apart, rewrite, simplify. So that's it for our examples today. There is an assignment posted out in Alex for you to do. 10 problems, and it shows examples. If you get stuck, it'll remind you that you need to break it apart, rewrite, and simplify. So good luck, and thanks, for all of the work that you're turning in. And what I'm getting is really good work, and it looks like some of you are going back in if you've missed some and fixing it. Don't forget, if you get a score less than 6, you should go back and redo it, because you need to get at least a 6 out of 10 to get credit for the assignment. So so don't give up. Go back in and try them again. All right, so stay safe, stay healthy, and there will be one more video lesson for this week. And yeah, so then I will look forward to getting your homework back. So have a great day.